The Lou Carcolh, also known simply as the Carcolh, is one of the strangest, slimiest and most symbolically rich monsters ever to crawl out of European folklore. Originating from the Gascony region of southwestern France, particularly from the small medieval town of Hastingues, this monstrous being is often described as a horrifying hybrid between a gigantic snail and a massive serpent. To the people of Gascony centuries ago, the Lou Carcolh wasn't just a bedtime story. It was a living metaphor for hidden dangers, lust, and the slow, creeping nature of evil that consumes those who wander too far from safety. Its name itself comes from the old Gascon word carcolh, which means snail, but its behavior and terrifying power go far beyond anything natural. Imagine a creature with a huge spiral shell, big enough to hide an entire house within it, its body stretching outward for dozens of feet, covered in thick mucus that glistens in the moonlight. From its slimy folds emerge dozens of long, muscular tentacles, strong enough to crush cattle and long enough to reach into the streets of the town. Its mouth is a gaping hole of darkness, lined with rows of sharp, grinding teeth, and the air around it is said to stink of decay and damp earth. Old villagers used to whisper that at night, when fog rolled across the meadows, the Carcolh would slide out of its lair beneath Hastingues' hill, leaving behind a slimy trail that glowed faintly under moonlight. If a traveler followed the wrong path home, the Carcolh's tentacle could silently wrap around his legs, dragging him down into the earth without a sound, and by morning only the slime and a single shoe would remain. The legend was not just told to frighten children, but to teach deep psychological truths about human nature and temptation. In the old times, young women in Gascony were warned not to wander out at night, especially near the marshes or the caves, because the Lou Carcolh was always watching. Symbolically, the Carcolh represented both danger and seduction. Its slow, creeping movement was a warning about how small, ignored desires or moral weaknesses can slowly consume the soul, just as its slime slowly covers everything it touches. In psychological terms, one might say the Carcolh symbolizes the unconscious, the dark, repressed part of the human mind that waits beneath the surface of civilization, hidden but powerful. Its underground lair beneath the town was like the shadow side of the human psyche, full of fears, impulses, and secrets that people pretend do not exist, but that sometimes rise to the surface and destroy them. There are many variations of the Lou Carcolh story, passed orally through villages for centuries. In some versions, the creature is an ancient guardian of the land, sleeping beneath Hastingues for hundreds of years, only awakening when humans grow greedy or immoral. In others, it is a cursed being, once a proud man or demigod who offended the gods and was transformed into this monstrous snail as punishment, doomed to crawl slowly through eternity. Some legends even say the Carcolh is immortal, born from the earth itself before humans ever existed, and that the hill on which the town stands is actually the top of its shell. People believed the tunnels under the hill were not man-made, but were the creature's veins and hollow chambers where it once moved. The people of Gascony integrated this legend deeply into their daily lives. Mothers would say, "Stay home before the Carcolh gets you," when their children disobeyed. Lovers who met in secret fields were told to return before dark, for the Carcolh's tentacle could appear from anywhere. The myth worked both as protection and as control. a social mechanism that kept people from venturing into dangerous territory, especially the marshlands that were known to swallow travelers in real life. Over time, the Carcolh became both a local symbol of danger and a strange source of pride. Residents of Hastingues began calling themselves Carcolh in jest, adopting the monster as a mascot that made their town unique. Some festivals and local crafts even included snail imagery as a subtle nod to the legend. On a deeper level, the Carcolh reveals how folklore merges nature and morality. The snail is a natural creature of slowness and patience, often seen as harmless, while the serpent represents sin, temptation, and deceit. The combination of the two into a single being creates a hybrid symbol of slow, creeping corruption. Evil that doesn't strike fast like a dragon or a wolf, but seeps into life little by little. It is the kind of monster that waits rather than attacks, and this psychological tension made the Carcolh unforgettable. In human relationships, the same archetype appears, something that begins slowly, a lie, an obsession, a betrayal, and grows until it devours everything. That's why the Lou Carcolh isn't just a mythological creature. It's a living lesson in emotional and moral awareness.